Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Voices of Vayana podcast. For episode 1, I'm your host Akshaya Shankar,
and I'm your co-host Rashmie.
Our guest is CK Venkatesh, who successfully broke into the startup environment after having a great run at a renowned bank. From experiencing unexplainable highs to coming to a new space with several initial lows, this podcast aims to understand what it takes to make it in this space. From misconceptions that he might have had initially to the sweeter taste of wins, join us on a roller coaster of a conversation with one of the most successful BU heads. While this podcast aims to dig deep, stick around for a fun rapid fire round.
Hi CKV, thank you for joining us today.
Hi.
So of course, we know you in the office, but just to give everyone else some context, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your current position at Vayana?
Background has been, I've been a Bangalorean for long. I've started my career with a company called Asian Paints, where I started my career in sales. That's when I had a first taste of selling. Then was there for a short stint of about 1.5 years and then moved into HDFC Bank. Joined them as a training officer. Worked there for about 18 odd years. Grew through various departments, understood banking in depth. And from there, I moved into Vayana, to which I kind of joined a year to help them build the supply chain business for Vayana in India.
So you mentioned that your first job was with Asian Paints, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about what your first job was and how you really started with supply chain finance?
The first job was more of a necessity because after college, the normal two things you do is either go for a higher studies or take up a job, coming from a middle class background. So I chose the latter. What I did in Asian Paints was basically a part of the trade sales team, managing a set of dealers in a particular region. So my first job was in Trichy, actually a location in Tamil Nadu, where I joined them to be a part of a branch where I would be servicing a set of dealers for a particular product. So that was my first experience where I've been out of my house all alone in a new city and trying to make new friends.
People describe you as a salesman and they say you're very good at it, even though I haven't seen you in action. So how did that connect to supply chain finance, or what drew you to supply chain finance?
The only reason I moved from Asian Paints to HDFC Bank was to move away from sales. What happened during one point in time in HDFC was my boss was on leave and I had to manage, try getting an account into the bank. It's a significantly large account. I kind of managed to do that and my boss felt that I was good enough for doing sales. And that's when I actually had the first taste of real selling in a banking environment. And from there on, I never looked back. I mean, that's what actually helped me grow in the bank because in sales, you generally are able to kind of measure success. And I grew in the bank across various verticals. And the last position I held was a vice president in HDFC Bank before joining Vayana.
So after, such extreme highs at HDFC Bank, what really inspired you to join Vayana? Like a startup that was just upcoming. What about it really attracted you to it?
So it was actually more of a knee-jerk reaction joining Vayana because I was doing pretty well in HDFC Bank at that point in time. But when I met with Sri and Iyer, it was an interesting proposition which they brought out on the table of building something on the supply chain side, which I had partly done in HDFC Bank during one stint. But I never ever thought, that it was not a very well thought out decision to move to Vayana. It was just that I thought about it overnight and joined them because I felt it was exciting.
Right. My next question kind of builds on that. You spoke about how it was kind of a sudden decision for you. So it wasn't like a very researched sort of move. So from that, I just want to know what were some of the misconceptions you had coming into this space, the general startup space and even Vayana specifically, both good and bad.
While people from outside feel that startups are a cool place to work, I also thought the same way. But actually, when you come in, you really understand that it's really, really hard. It's not easy. I mean, you need to kind of start from ground zero. I mean, I went back actually by 10 years where I started as an RM in HDFC. And that's when I really realized that startups are not what they actually look from outside. There's a lot riding on you to kind of build the business because that is why they've got you in. Whereas in an established environment, you're actually part of a setup which is already getting built and you're just contributing to the success. But here, a lot of things actually lie on your own shoulders to help deliver the startup's goal. So one is that you're kind of discovering yourself all over again in terms of your skill sets, your people around you, who you're going to work with, the kind of customers you're going to deal with. So it's not easy. That's what I would like to say.
So now that you are a BU head and a very successful BU head at that, we just want to know from you, what are the biggest challenges that you have faced in your role as a BU head, and how exactly did you overcome them?
There are a lot of challenges you face within yourself and within the system as well as outside the system, because you deal with very different variables when you're trying to build a business. The most important thing is self-belief. That's very critical, because you have to believe in yourself that you can deliver. I mean, if you get that right, I think rest of things will fall in place. The second most important thing is focus. There was a lot of noise around, a lot of startups happening, etc. But I was kind of well glued to what I wanted to do within Vayana. I believed in the story of Vayana, and that's where I think that helped me in the long run. Of course, the third important thing is patience, because success does not come so easily. Your customers who you think will come on board will take a lot of time. You have to spend time on the ground, in the field, with people, internal, external, because people will also lose patience when business does not come easily. So it's managing all of this, what makes you very strong. And that's what helped me in kind of taking up this challenging role of a business unit head. And inshallah, I should be successful.
We wish the same for you as well. So, I mean, the way you talk about it, it seems like there's a significant amount of almost personal investment that has gone in your tenure at Vayana so far. So I just want to ask, can you walk us through a particularly memorable moment or project from your time with the company?
So there has been many memorable moments, because the first win obviously is one of your best wins. But of course, that then surpasses when you get the second win, the third win, etc. But then that becomes BAU, I would say. But the most important success I've seen is building a totally new product and getting it to the market very quickly, and actually monetizing the entire product and making it a profitable product for Vayana is what I think I've achieved in my entire journey in Vayana as of date. And I hope to replicate this in similarly other products which we are trying to build in Vayana.
Great. So now that we've spoken about the highs and the good and memorable parts, we'd also like to dwell a little bit more into, maybe some of the difficult decisions that you might have had to take. So can you tell us a little bit about a particularly difficult decision you had to make as a BU head and how you really overcame them?
Being a part of a startup, it is not very easy that you will be able to kind of get what you want. Obviously, there are some decisions to be taken much in advance for you to reap the benefit in the future. One such being a kind of sales organization, which we needed to build. And obviously, building a sales organization is not so easy. You need to invest in the right people, people with the right experience matters a lot for a startup like us, because one, you are assuming that the people come in will start kind of delivering very immediately in terms of the numbers, etc. So that is one thing I always felt was very difficult for Vayana, because we were going through a phase where we are also growing, but at the same time, obviously, we need to be careful about how and where we are spending our money, time, efforts. So this was one thing I kind of really had to work a little bit with the management to make them believe that investing in the right people and giving them some time to perform will kind of help us in the long run. And actually, we are seeing the fruits of that as we speak. I should thank Rama for this, for having believed in me that we will deliver what we say.
There seem to be a lot of parallels in just that came up in your conversation, that starting things were like this, and right now our reality is much more different. So if you could just talk a little bit more about that. How has the company changed or evolved since you first joined?
So when we started, we were just trying to bring the concept into the market to make people, banks, institutions understand what we were trying to offer in the market as a product and a service. So that obviously took us a lot of time, because most of them in Vayana have come with good pedigree. But when meeting customers, obviously it's a very different challenge, because you are associated with a brand, and building a brand is not so easy. And that's what I realized in Vayana, that it is just not the people. You need enough meat for your product or your service for the customer to believe that he will use it and also recommend you to the next set of customers he thinks will benefit from this. So I think that's a very important learning for me in the last 10-12 years in Vayana, because every day has been a very different day for me. It's been a kind of roller coaster ride right from day one, where you had some days of very high voltage and some days where you're very low. But that is resilience is what helps you to kind of overcome all of these challenges internally and externally.
So, talking just about these highs and lows and just playing the long game, what do you see for Vayana's future?
I think right now, after 12 years with Vayana, I think I've realized this is in the next 1 or 2 years is the inflection point for Vayana. We have all the products which the market requires. We have the right set of people leading it and driving those projects and products. We have the right set of customers who we already have on the platform and whom we are going to acquire. So all this, I think, put together, we will become a very big driving force in the next 2 to 3 years in India, as well as markets where we are already present and where we are likely to go.
Nice. So, CK, what are some of the biggest challenges facing the industry today, and how do you think our company is positioned to address them?
Vayana is in the space of financing the supply chains or the SMEs through our anchor-driven approach. India being a land of SMEs, enough financing options are not available for them. The basic reason being that these SMEs are not easily bankable for whatever history or business you do with. So Vayana has some products which can really help financial institutions kind of arrive at a lending option for these SMEs, which in turn will actually help banks to kind of ring fence the overall risk they will run on financing the SME, as well as managing the risk. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a set of products which will really kind of help the growth story of the SMEs in India, as well as other countries as we go forward.
All right, now just focusing more on the individual level, how do you balance your personal life with your responsibilities as a business head?
So initially when I started with Vayana, it was very difficult. Obviously, we had to sacrifice personal time in the interest of growing the business in Vayana. But obviously, as time passed, we added more people. Obviously, roles were created where people could be hired and given those roles. And obviously, people grew in that. And one last thing about obviously is I would never work for any other a fintech or a bank, because the kind of work balance I have had in Vayana has been amazing. It's just that you have to put a full stop to when you want to work and when you want to actually have personal life.
Lovely. So, just before we really segue into the fun rapid fire round, we just have one question. So, what's next? And this could be personal, professional. So, what is next for you?
So, professionally, I would like to quote, we have miles to go before we sleep. So, we still have a lot of regions to conquer, a lot of business to be done. So, that will go on as we continue. On the personal front, obviously, the only hobby I have is travel, and I have been able to kind of fulfill some of it having joined Vayana, which was not possible in my earlier stint. So I've been able to travel a lot and a lot of personal travel. So one goal I would really like to achieve is at least hit about 50 countries before I kind of retire from Vayana.
Where is the number now? Just out of personal curiosity.
It is on 27.
Wow, not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, now we can segue into our fun rapid fire round.
First one, what's your favorite movie or TV show?
Ganglands has been my recently favorite series, and favorite movie I would say is Zindagi Na Mile Dobara.
So, our second question, if you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, and we'd prefer if you have a celebrity in mind, who would it be and why?
It would be either Kareena Kapoor or Alia Bhatt.
Okay, now probably the most fun part of rapid fire, you have to guess Gen Z slang, right? The words that the kids use today. Okay, the first word is Tea, spelled Tea. Tea.
And just before you start, we want to tell you that you really have to get this right because we know your daughter is a Gen Z and now you're working with a couple of Gen Zs at work. So, what do you think tea means?
It means you agree?
Tea means gossip. So people say spill
Spill
the
the
tea.
tea.
Okay.
So come, let's gossip.
Our next would be sus.
Basically, sucks.
Sus is like suspicion.
Suspicion.
So it's
Yeah.
like short for suspicious. So if someone says something,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You will be like, oh, that's so sus. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly. The next one is slay. SLAY. Slay.
Kind of, you nailed it.
Oh, that's actually
Amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
You
We
slayed
didn't-
it.
You slayed it, yeah. We didn't expect you to get that one. Okay.
Good job.
What does lit mean?
Lit.
Yeah, L-I-T, lit.
Meaning you made someone's day or something like that.
It basically means amazing. Like that was
Ah.
lit. Yeah. And the last one, can you guess drip? DRIP.
We can give you a hint if you want because, yeah, so it has something to do with clothes.
I'm not able to kind of.
Yeah, I think it's someone who has great sense of style and
Style.
someone, yeah, who really
Yeah.
dresses themselves well. So quickly, before we stop for today, we have 5 names of 5 of your team members. So just tell us the first adjective that comes to your mind when I say their names. Okay, we can start. So the first name is Katie.
Passionate,
Amit Singh.
cool,
Krishnan.
family,
Sneha.
simple, rustic girl,
Sweet. And the last we have Suhasini.
dependable.
And with that, we bring our first episode to a close. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
We hope you had fun because we did, and we hope our listeners have fun as well and have something to take back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.